You just saw this powder dispenser in the Ultimate Reloading System video. You guys asked for a complete video on it.
Let's do it.
Gavin Gear here from UltimateReloader.com. I'm back with Guy Miner. Thank you for joining us again.
You bet.
At the end of the Lyman Ultimate Reloading System video, I gave you some homework.
You did.
That's right. That's, hey, go take all this stuff home, get familiar with all of it, you know, and use it. And one of the things you ended up liking was this Gen 6 powder measure, huh?
Yeah, actually I did. First thing that really attracted me about it was the small size. It's very compact, takes up very little room, so leaving more room for more of your reloading goodies.
I've had a lot of people ask about me doing a story on reloading in small spaces. It's almost like you've got a tiny home, you want to reload, here's how you can accomplish that. And it is a real consideration. I mean, we have a ton of room here at Ultimate Reloader. We're still running out of space. So, you know, anything you can do to get stuff efficiently packed onto your bench and to get your workflow all organized, you know, sometimes in the corner of your basement or under your stairs or wherever it is that you're reloading is definitely a good thing.
Yeah, and this thing, it roughly half the size of the only other electronic powder measure I've ever used. It does everything the other one did at half the size. I like that.
That's really good. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking we'll do is, why don't you walk through the specs? Because we didn't really cover any of that in the first video. It was more like, hey, here's this powder dispenser. Here's what it looks like, right? So let's talk about the specs. And then you took the time to read the owner's manual.
I did.
I'm very impressed.
Can we address that?
Sure.
Right off, because Lyman is great. They sent out, we had like 3 of these in that system box.
Yep.
Great piece of gear, but the info on this powder dispenser is not in here. It's in a separate piece that comes in this box. And for me, not using electronic powder dispensers very often, this was really important to read. Yes, I'm a man and I read directions. I'm sorry, but I did so.
Okay.
And it starts out right with warnings.
Yes, that's always good. So let's get to that in just a moment. Let's talk about the specs, the feeds, the speeds, you know, some of the basic features. And then we'll get to, why don't you walk through all the setup, all those considerations that you read about in the manual. Then we'll do some testing with it right here. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
Okay, so we've got touchscreen controls. That is always a nice thing because it's a little bit more intuitive to, you know, work with the touchscreen typically. Yeah,
it's nice and they work good. You know, no problems using them. You put in your powder measure, how much your powder charge, I mean. You can plug that in, you turn it on and off, all that stuff, you know, and it's very easy there. They had a caution. They said you might want to wipe that down to get rid of some of the static. So that was a good idea, I think. Yeah, static is always an issue with powder measures and these electronic powder dispensers. It's kind of hard to get around. Yes, yeah. Yeah, I was impressed with this because Lyman pointed out that they they've been building electronic powder measures since '95, I think, and that they were getting feedback from their customers and they incorporated a lot of that feedback in this piece of gear right here. So I was impressed with that. It's good to listen to your customers.
Yep. You've got a draft shield. That's really nice. You've got the pan, the platen, the cleaning brush, a calibration weight, a transparent reservoir so you can see, you know, where your powder level is at. It's kind of covers all the basic bases, isn't it?
It does, and there's even a nice, easy way to get most of the powder out of there without dumping it out all over your bench.
Why don't you show me that? I haven't seen that on this one yet.
Let's see, we want to have that up for the camera or for you?
Well, for me.
Okay. That's this little guy.
Okay, gotcha.
And he pulls down here and then up with that. Out comes most of it.
That's a different kind of design. That's awesome.
It is.
Cool. So 0.1 grain accuracy on the scale, is that correct?
I think that's correct, yeah.
Yep.
0.1 grain, yep. 1/10 of a grain accuracy on the scale. Takes about 2 seconds for it to actually do the charge. There's a 3-minute warm-up period, which is not bad.
Yep.
You know, I can usually find something else to do for 3 minutes. I've got to go find the bullets or something.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yep.
That works out pretty good. You know, just always leave it on. Why not? Okay.
I do that with some of my scales if I use them all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I was going to be using this all the time, why not? You're supposed to calibrate it before every use, and that's a good idea too, I guess. One of the things that Lyman addressed is they put in some shields to help shield it from things like cell phones and microwaves. They still ask that you keep those away from the machine, but apparently they've got this state-of-the-art shielding in there that is supposed to minimize the impact of those things on throwing off
Very
stuff.
good. Yeah. Awesome. Well, next we're going to talk about setup, configuration, and some of those special considerations. So, Guy, you've got the Gen 6 out of the box. You've got the appropriate plug clipped into the power adapter. You've plugged it into the wall. What's next? What do we need to do to get this thing set up?
Well, one of the things I caution you about is making sure it's on a level piece of level bench, and that it's out of any air currents to keep it from disturbing it. So that's a good thing. Then it needs to warm up.
Yep.
So we hit the on button, and 3-minute warm-up cycle starts. That gives you time for it to go get a cup of coffee or whatever you need to do.
Yeah,
and
plenty to do.
Come on back, and we're going to calibrate it before we use it, and we can get more into that later.
Sure.
The calibrating process, yeah.
Yep.
Then we key in our desired charge weight, such if we want 50 grains of powder, 50.0, and we're good to go. It will remember that. And we can either trigger that later, we can do that every single time with our own finger entering it, or we can have it go on auto repeat, so every time you put the plating back on, it just automatically dispenses another 50 grains.
Right, which if you're loading bulk ammo, it's likely that that's what you're going to want to do.
You bet, yeah, it's one less step for you to do, one more thing the machine can do for you.
Yep, and what I typically will do is I'll do something else while it's dispensing. You know?
Right, because it takes a little while.
Seat the bullet. You've already got some cases with powder in them. You're kind of at that step in the process, and then it doesn't matter if your scale takes a little bit longer to dispense because you're being productive elsewhere, right?
Yeah, I was actually loading some 30-06 with it, and that's what I was doing. It was taking 57.5 grains of Varget, as I recall, and I was going ahead and it would be metering that out, and I'd be seating the bullet on the next one, putting that aside. About the time I got back over here, it was ready again.
Very good.
So, yeah, that was turned into a real smooth, easy workflow.
Nice. So why don't you walk us through some of those special considerations, since you did go against the very grain of your mail being and read the complete instruction manual.
I did,
right?
I did, and they had some warnings in there that I thought were pretty important. One, it's really important to clean this thing thoroughly in between different kinds of powder, and they mentioned that in there a couple times. And suppose you were loading bullseye, 5 grains of bullseye for your 45 ACP or something, and then you come and you want to have some kind of slow burning rifle powder next. You don't want that bullseye still hanging around in there.
Right.
You want it all gone.
Yep.
So you need to clean this thing thoroughly, and they specifically mentioned not turning it upside down to empty it out, and not shaking it, because that can mess it all up and it won't work right.
Yeah, it's a precision instrument, so you don't exactly want to abuse it, right?
Right, yeah. They have a very specific cleaning procedure to follow, and it works. It works. Also, don't use any black powder or Pyrodex. It's not made for that. It's made for smokeless powder only.
Because static can be dangerous in those scenarios.
That's what I hear, and we're mixing static and electricity and black powder. It sounds like a home demolition project to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Static charges, they say, could cause drift, so it won't be measuring things out quite right. So we're going to try and keep static charges away from it and all that. Yeah. Also, I noticed for static inside this, some of the gunpowder granules like to stick to the inside of this tube. Even though, so I wiped it down with some dryer sheets.
Oh, nice.
That helped a little bit.
Yep.
Also the scales could be affected by the wireless phones, microwaves, similar type things. So I thought, okay, even though they've got the fancy shielding in there, I can leave my cell phone on the other side of the room, no big deal. Yeah, did that, and then the scale has to be zeroed before use.
Yep.
Those were all things that Lyman pointed out in their manual, which, yes, I read.
It's awesome. Okay, with all of that prep work out of the way, I see you've got some 223 ball powder, and we've got some, is this Varget?
It is Varget.
Very good, okay. So why don't we put this scale through its paces with both of those powders?
Okay, let's start with the Varget.
Calibration, a necessary evil, but it doesn't have to be that difficult, does it?
It's not that bad. There's one button, the Cal 0 button that you're using, and one little weight.
Yep.
That's all you really need to do.
And if I just read the manual. If I understand the process, you're just going to keep hitting that Cal 0 button and following the instructions.
Exactly.
You're going to do Cal 0. It's going to go into the process. At some point, you're going to put the weight on there. You're going to hit it again. You're going to take it off, hit it again, validate the number.
Yep.
And then you're pretty much done. That's pretty simple. And to have a dedicated button, that you can hold for calibration.
Yes.
Or you can tap for 0. It's pretty good.
It is. It's nice and simple. I even did it. I was impressed. And yeah, this is where we do need to take a look at the manual to learn
Sure.
how to do all these things. And that's fine. That's why they give you a manual.
Yep, and once you get going with this thing, that's the section of the manual you're going to want to keep it folded to, like we've got right here. Keep it in the drawer next to you, and then just follow the instructions each time. Okay.
If you can't remember, which
That's right.
I have trouble with.
All right, now on to testing powders. It's Varga time.
It is Varga time. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
Show me what you got.
I got 8 pounds of Varga.
Hey.
I'm pretty
I
proud
know
of
a lot
that.
of you are jealous of that, actually. Where'd you get that, guy?
I got that several years ago when I was doing a lot of target shooting.
Good for you. Yeah, this is one of those classic powders that I'm familiar with because I use it all the time.
That looks like about enough.
Yep. We have a tested story on this powder, by the way, and we even look at it under the microscope. It's pretty cool. It's one of the most consistent powders out there, actually. Granule size, granule weight, 0.02.
I know it works great. I know that.
Yep. And we did warm up the scale, as you guys saw in the video here. It's been on for an hour now, probably.
It's been warming up for a while. Yep. So good deal. So we want to do like a 223 type charge weight?
Sure. Let's do
Okay.
it.
All righty.
24.7.
All right. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
And this is when it's nice to be seating your bullet or doing something that
Yeah.
you can come back to this.
So we've got kind of a full RPM spool up, and then the familiar twitching of just give me a couple granules at a time here. Boom.
Yep.
There it is. And it gives us a number.
And
We're within 0.1 there.
yeah. And one of the things Lyman said, it's a good idea to do the first several fillings of this to just go ahead and pour back into the hopper there. And do a few of these.
Got one little granule out of the tube there.
Yeah.
There we go.
I tend to spill a few of them sometimes, can I say.
Yeah, they always, they hang right on the edge of the tube. You never know when you just got to watch for it.
Right. And then we hit it again. Because I haven't hit auto repeat yet.
Yes. Gotcha.
But it has not forgotten that we wanted 24.7.
Yep.
So that's kind of cool.
The scale comes back to 0 each time we're putting the empty pan on there, so that's a good sign.
It is. That's a very good sign.
Yeah.
And look at that.
Very nice.
24/7. Okay, and it's a count of 2 on there.
Yep.
Cool. Should we do another one?
Sure. Let's do one more of those, and let's step it up.
Then we'll
bigger,
bump it on
bigger
up.
Charge.
Okay.
If memory serves me correctly, I've used Varget for both 223 and 30-06. It's a little fast maybe for 30-06, but
For most of them, I've got a load I've been working on that's using Varget.
okay.
And I've also used it in the 4570 and extensively in the 308.
Gotcha.
Yeah, lots of 308 shooting with it. Okay, 24.8.
Fantastic in the 6 dasher. Yep.
Ah,
So we're
that
still
I didn't
within
know.
0.1.
Okay. That's kind of cool. So, pick a number, any number.
55.6.
That was easy.
I haven't validated that. Varget in the 30-06, that might work for a light bullet or something like that. Of course, you're going to want to check your manufacturer's load data. Okay.
So this is like loading 223s.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I probably use Varget in more rifle cartridges than any other powder, I want to say, because it will work in a lot of stuff. And it's optimal for quite a few combos.
We used it in the 3030 loading.
Oh, that's right.
I forgot. We used it in 3030. Boy, we've used a lot of stuff.
I've even used it in 7.62x54R, if I can remember correctly. Yeah, I did.
Cool.
In the Mosin Nagant.
Yeah, 55.6.
Nice.
Wow.
Let's do another one of those, and
Let's
then we'll
do
go
that.
on to the ball powder.
I like the big orange enter.
Yes.
Don't have to worry about which, you're just going for the orange button.
I think it's nice to have one physical button, because on some you'll have on, off, and you'll have go. And if you accidentally hit the wrong one, then you don't get what you want. Right? So sometimes simple is...
If I had to go back on the
simple
touch screen, good chance that I'd hit the wrong thing. Well, the countdown is going.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah, that did good. Okay, so we're going to clean out the powder measure. We're going to drain it, and then we're going to come back and show you CFE 223.
So we're ready to do a ball powder.
Let's do it.
Okay.
CFE 223. This is going to mimic a lot of the other ball powders, like CFE pistol, which I use quite a bit. I probably use more CFE pistol for pistol loads than anything else.
Really?
I used to use a lot of W231. Now I've gotten into the, the copper fouling eraser thing.
It's good powder stuff. I only started using it this past year, the CFEs, and it's nice.
Yeah. Well, there we go. So why don't we start with a pistol-ish load of like 6 grains. Pretend we're doing a 45 ACP or something like that.
Okay.
But I'll just make it 6.2.
Okay, there we go, 6.2.
Boy, it doesn't take it long to get up to that trickle, does it?
No. Well, it says 6.2. That's good.
Yep. Compared to our 56?
It's a huge difference.
Or was it 55.6?
Something like that, yeah.
Yep.
Pistols and rifles are different.
Yeah.
I think it likes that ball powder.
Yeah.
Everything's right on the money.
Okay, so last time when we were doing the Varget, we did a what was it, a 24-ish load and a 55-ish load. Why don't we do like a 35 here just to kind of hit it somewhere in the middle. 0.3.
We'll see how it goes.
Yep. Can you think of any cartridges you load with a mid-30s grain powder charge?
30-30 Winchester.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew you'd have something in your brain there.
Which isn't too far from the original one, which was,
Oh yeah, 30 grains, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like H380 was 38 grains of H380 for a 55 grain bullet, or
yeah, 22-250.
Yeah.
Famous load.
Yep.
It still works.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like waiting for some kind of crazy results.
Boy, that does work good, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
I think ball powders are, pretty consistent, and I found that they not only do they measure consistently here, but if I'm using just a powder measure at home, manual powder measure, just throwing it, boy, the ball powder goes through there nice.
Yep. Yep. It packs so much more uniformly, and it doesn't ever need to cut the sticks and stuff like that too. Yep.
We're getting quite an education on some of the old stick powders with my old manual. 3 of them at 35.3.
So here's a thought. Why don't we get out the lab scale and do a little cross comparison?
Okay.
So what we've got here is the A&D FX120i, which is a high dollar lab balance. It's not a scale, it's an actual balance, right? We've zeroed out the pan on there, and we should be zeroed out over here too, right? Let's just double check that. Okay.
0.
So why don't we go ahead, we're going to do a charge here. We're going to see what the Gen 6 says, and then we're going to take it over here, and this is an accuracy test, right? Precision, repeatability, accuracy, how far are we from the actual expected value?
Exactly.
Into the trickling stage. Boom, 35.3, right on the nose. And over here, 35.26.
Pretty
That
close.
is very, very, very close. And if we, let's do a little bit of a repeatability test here. 35.3, 35.3, and 35.3. Really good scale performance. Next guy is going to show you a feature that we didn't show you yet.
Okay, so for the auto repeat, all we have to do is hit, surprisingly, auto repeat.
Okay.
And enter.
And again, if we're loading, if we have a whole loading block, we've got our bullet seating set up here, probably going to want that to just automatically start.
Sure.
No, it's not hard to hit the button each time. But
no, but it's one less thing to do.
Exactly.
So it's going to measure out here. Looks like it's getting pretty close. And then we're going to take this and imagine we were putting it in a cartridge case. Now as soon as this comes back on there.
Auto. Even tells you auto.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got our new loading friend, Auto. Okay.
That's right.
He's helping us out here.
And one of the funny things is while you're calibrating, it'll say Cal 50. And when we do build our 50 BMG, you know what we're going to engrave on the barrel?
Cal 50.
Cal 50. Now this is 50 grams, the calibration weight. A little bit less exciting than 50 cal.
True.
50 BMG, but
true.
It puts a smile on your face nonetheless, right?
It does. It does.
So there you go. That is the auto repeat, and it's just going to keep doing that as many times as we put that pan back on the platen. You know, I'm feeling like this packs a lot of punch into a small package.
It really does, you know, and we could come back to the small idea. I like that because I don't have a great big giant shop at home. I have a room that I use for my gun tinkering and my hand loading, and there's not a lot of room for a lot of gadgets.
Yep.
So, but this gadget fits in there and it does a fine job.
That's right. Awesome. And it's a part of that Ultimate Reloading System from Lyman, which we showed you. If you want to see what else is in that kit, you're going to want to check out that full video. Here's what we want to know is, what do you think of the Gen 6 powder dispenser from Lyman? What do you think of the features that we've showed, the accuracy that we've showed, and its physical footprint? Please drop a comment and add your input. What's next for you, Guy?
Yeah, load some cartridges.
That sounds like fun. I know some of the projects you're working on. It's going to be cool. You're definitely going to want to see those.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for taking a look at the kit, and you're going to see more of those kit items in Guy's upcoming stories. That concludes this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Also, make your voice heard. If you have something to say, please drop a comment. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications because you're not going to want to miss the awesome content that is coming up. And finally, flex your reloading pride. You could look great in one of these t-shirts. We've got multiple designs at the Ultimate Reloader store. I'll see you later because I'm off to go shooting.